Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Orange County School Board's regularly scheduled meeting this Tuesday, June 8th, 2021. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Most of our board members are attending in person, but one of our board members is attending virtually. So let me do a quick roll call. Member Gallo.
Good afternoon.
Member Lopez.
Good afternoon.
Member Cobert.
Good afternoon.
Thank you, Member Cobert. Member Vice Chair Gould.
Good afternoon.
Member Felder.
Good afternoon.
Member Casterdental.
Good afternoon, Chair.
Member Byrd.
Good afternoon.
Wonderful. All in attendance. Thank you so much. I want to remind the board members and the public that the board members will not be engaging in outside electronic or digital communication during the meeting. So if you are trying to reach us, you will not get a response until after the meeting. The board members have committed their time and attention to the business at hand and the public that's here in the chambers with us. To fellow board members, district staff, and members of the public, when you're speaking, don't do like I do occasionally and turn your head sideways or move away from the mic or we won't pick it up. So speak as close as you can into the microphone so we can hear you. It's extremely important to us. The 2020-21 school year, but let me begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. The moment of silence and then the Pledge of Allegiance. If you all would stand and join me, please. And now the Pledge of Allegiance. On behalf of my fellow board members, I'd like to welcome everybody to tonight's meeting. Before we start with our business portion of our meeting, we have some really special recognitions. The 2020-21 school year was a year like none others, and it's just been 2 weeks since the school year ended, and I think for the first time we're feeling like we're coming up for air and have an opportunity to look back and reflect on the people and the organizations that have made such a difference in the lives of our students this year. We've done something this year that I don't think we've done in a few years, and that's board members have identified individuals in their district that have made a profound impact on the lives of students. And likewise, I had the honor of being able to identify an organization, not the right term, a group that has volunteered a tremendous amount of time and expertise. So I want to take this moment to recognize our OCPS Medical Advisory Committee. At the start of 2021, before the school year even began, our board was struggling with a lot of very tough decisions that were highly technical. We like to think that we are capable of learning anything, but it helps to go to experts on really difficult decisions. So we convened a medical advisory committee to help guide those decisions. They didn't make them for us, but they did give us invaluable input throughout the process. They included a variety of specialties, including epidemiology, pediatrics, infectious disease. And I'd like to take just a minute to talk about a few of those individuals. Let me begin with the chairman of the committee, Dr. Vincent Hsu. Doctor, would you stand up so we can recognize you, sir? Dr. Hsu is Advent Health's epidemiologist and executive director for infection prevention. We couldn't ask for more from Advent Health, and we certainly couldn't have asked for more from you this year. Not only have you given us an enormous amount of your time and expertise, but chairing those meetings has been quite an accomplishment, I know. Many of the board members have watched either all or most of the meetings, and we have been in awe of you, and we are forever indebted to the help that you gave us. I also want to mention the other members of the committee. I don't think that they're here, but let me just mention them. Dr. Ajay, Director of Pediatric Pulmonary, Pediatric Allergy, and High-Risk Infant Care. He's also the Medical Director at Florida Pediatric Research Institute. Dr. Adriana Cadilla, who serves as physician with the infectious disease team at Nemours Children's Hospital. Dr. Brian Harris, who's the Behavioral Developmental Pediatrician for Orlando Health, Arnold Palmer's Hospital Pediatric Health and Development Center. These people are these are not lightweights that have volunteered so much time for us. Dr. Omira Mansfield, Vice President and Chief Medical Officer for Advent Health Apopka and Advent Health Winter Garden. Dr. Michael Musinski, Professor Emeritus, Clinical Sciences at Florida State University. He also was the founding Division Chief of Pediatric Infectious Disease at Arnold Palmer Hospital for Children. He additionally was the founding Division Chief of Pediatric Infectious Disease at Nemours Children's Hospital. Dr. Annette Nielsen, who worked at Vanderbilt University Monroe Carroll Children's Hospital as a fellow in pediatric hematology oncology. Following that, she accepted a position in Winter Garden, Florida, with the Community Health Centers of Central Florida. And in January 2008, she opened her own practice, Treehouse Pediatrics in Lake Nona. Nurse practitioner Darcy Randall is currently a primary clinician at Edgewater High School Student Health Center. Nurse Randall is a nationally accredited with the Pediatric Nursing Certification Board and is an active member of the National Association of Pediatric Nurse Practitioners and of the American Health Association. Dr. Mercedes Rodriguez, retired physician advisor, has been with Orange County Public Schools as our physician consultant. Some of her past experiences include working at the Florida Department of Health for over a decade as medical executive director at both Orange County Health Department and Osceola County Health Department. Dr. Reagan Schwartz is a board-certified emergency medicine physician who is the senior physician leader on the medical staff at Advent Health. He served as the chairman of the emergency department for the past 12 years. These people have incredible background and expertise, and more important than that, they have heart and they have compassion for our kids. And I hope that we will not go our separate ways. I hope that we will continue to find ways to support the mission that I think we all agree is one of the most important in the world, and that's educating our children. So if we could all just take a moment to recognize that entire team, I would greatly appreciate it. Next, I would like to ask School Board Member Angie Gallo, District 1, to introduce her honoree. And following her, we'll hear from each district school board member to learn more about their honorees. Member Gallo, you're recognized.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Tonight, I'm going to honor the League of Women Voters Orange County. And with us, we have Barbara Lanning and Sue Gilman. The reason that I chose the League of Women Voters, number one, I'm a member. I'm a very proud member of the League of Women Voters, and I sit on the Education Committee for many years, and I still try to make meetings as I can. So I've seen firsthand the great work that they do not only for our community, but for our students and our teachers across OCPS. So I want to just mention a few things, and this is just a very few things that they've done for our community. If I mention them all, I'd be here this evening. They do webinars, they do lunch and learns, they do hot topics. They do so much work around our community to make sure that we're educated voters, and they are a staunch supporter of public education. So for that reason alone, I could say thank you, but that's not all I got. So the Juvenile Justice Committee, along with the Education Committee, has donated hundreds of books to the Juvenile Detention Center to update their library so that students have access to quality books. The Juvenile Justice Committee also hosts pizza nights once a week at the Juvenile Justice Detention Center. The Education Committee has sent 6 to 8 teachers through the Harvard Civics program. The teachers then come back and share the program with other teachers. They held a civics night at Boone High School. The Education Committee has also done in-depth research on the tax credit scholarships, and they use that information. They've developed kind of a PowerPoint program, and they go across the county, and they visit and enlist other stakeholders to educate them on what tax credit scholarships are, how they impact our community, and the lack of accountability that is associated with them. They also have a voter services committee, and this voter services goes out into high schools to try to register our high school students so that they're eligible to vote when they become 18. They have registered hundreds upon thousands of voters across the state in our high schools and at the university level, and I was a part of the voter services, but then got kicked off when I ran for office. Apparently, you can't be an elected official and be on voter services. Go figure. But this is just a few things that they do for our community. So it is my honor to recognize the Orange County League of Women Voters tonight for all their dedication and support to Orange County Public Schools. So Barbara and Steve, you can come up. I have a little something for you. Thank you so much. And thank you, Barbara. You're welcome. If I didn't mention, they are the co-presidents of the League of Women Voters Orange County, and they're here representing the league tonight. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Member Gallo. That was wonderful. I'm not sure everybody brought gifts you could have put. We're about to find out. Member Lopez, you're recognized to introduce your honoree.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As the school board member for District 2, it is an honor to recognize the outstanding contributions of the Orange County Council of Parent-Teacher Association and Parent-Teacher Students Association. As an organization, you have demonstrated commitment to every child in our district. Your town halls provided a voice for our families. You have communicated not only their concerns, but also provided recommendations to promote equality and inclusion. You educated and engaged the parents, students, and leaders throughout our school district to participate in conversations with our legislators in Tallahassee. You also organized an event to recognize principals and schools that went the extra mile to provide a high-quality education to our students and families. As a school board member and as a mother, I value your hard work and service to maintain an open and productive line of communication between families and our schools. To the executive officers, committee chairs, and all members of the Orange County Council of PTA and PTSAs, congratulations for your outstanding work during this past year. Your leadership is remarkable and highly appreciated. Please stand when I call your name. To those leaders who always dedicate your time to make a difference in our schools, thank you. Melanie Williams. Chadwick Hardy. Kelly Crombaker. Juliet Childs. Melissa Esposado. And Sharon Stewart. Ms. Stewart is also a teacher at Sunrise Elementary. She is the first teacher to adopt the content of the book Paid Forward, to initiate a community service project by her students in the school and the community, and receive a proclamation from the Orlando Mayor, Buddy Dyer, for this initiative with her students. I am very proud of you. The excitement and participation of the students speaks volumes about how great of a teacher you are. I am looking forward to continuing working with you. It is a pleasure to advocate for the best for our students alongside with you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Lopez. Member Copert, are you with us?
I am Chair.
Go ahead.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity to honor someone from District 3. Tonight, I would like to offer special recognition to Principal Doug Loftis of Acceleration Academy East. I know that Principal Loftis will share this recognition with his entire administration team, faculty, and staff. The reason that I want to recognize Principal Loftis tonight is that his students that come to his school are coming from behind and have particular challenges. But despite that challenge, despite COVID this past year and all of the challenges that come along with that, despite distance learning and everything that has happened in this past school year, Principal Loftis achieved a 100% graduation rate of his students this year. I had the honor of being at their graduation at Boone High School a few weeks ago. And I believe that it was just an extraordinary, extraordinary accomplishment to take this entire class, 100% of them graduated. So please join me in recognizing the accomplishments of the team of Acceleration Academy East and Principal Doug Loftis.
Thank you, Member Cobert. Now let's hear from Vice Chair Gould.
Good evening. As you can tell from our recognized folks so far, it does take a village to work together to educate our students and really give them everything that they need. And there's probably not another name in our community that has the same influence, and that's Disney. And I want to thank them for a very long-term partnership, but especially for a few things that they have done, not only over the past years and years and years of walking in service for the children of our community, but specifically for students today. I want to thank President of Walt Disney World Resorts, who could not be here tonight, Jeff Volley, and of course our two folks that are here to represent Adriana Sakula, Manager of Government Relations for Walt Disney Parks and Resorts, and Tajana Encore Brown, the Director of External Affairs for Walt Disney World.
You want to
Stand up, ladies, while I talk about you. They did something we thought would be impossible initially, and that was to get some buses donated to Orange Technical College. And I have to personally thank them for continuing to take my calls about the buses, because I just would not let it go. And they were very patient with me and helped to really make it happen. Those buses will help with CDL training for both adult and student learners, and it's really incredible that we were able to have that kind of partnership. But that's just a little tiny thing of what they did, even though for me it was a big thing. Disney's been a longtime friend of OCPS. They've provided the annual gift to the superintendent to use at her discretion, which means philanthropy that really has made an impact across our district. When we haven't had quite enough money to do that one thing that we wanted to do that year, that's where that has been able to step in. They've supported the Foundation Golf Tournament, Hall of Fame, Top Talent, Stellar Awards, and given generously to the student experience over the years. They've given time, talent, and treasure. And I want to emphasize the talent, because they've allowed their employees, including my husband, who has given 21 years of volunteer service through junior achievement, because Disney encouraged him to go out and do that, and goes into the classroom to teach. You can't walk into our classroom and not see something from Disney in there. It's kind of cool. They have stepped up in helping homeless students. They've provided hundreds of pallets of clothing. They bring valuable items from the NBA bubble and serve on our foundation board. During the pandemic, when their parks were closed, they still wrapped their arms around our kids and our families. They contributed tens of thousands of gift bags that made it that make it possible even today for our food and nutrition service to send home food bags on the curbside grab and go meals. We can't thank you enough for really investing that time, talent, and treasure, and the buses to our students and for the future success of our students. Thank you so much for all that you do.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Member Felder.
Thank you, Chair. Howard Thurman says, leadership demands integrity and honesty. Maya Angelou says, a leader sees greatness in other people. Reginald Bernard McGill has never failed to see the greatness in others and celebrate their achievements. I have known Reginald since I was a child, frolicking on the playgrounds of beautiful Washington shores. It was there that I was introduced to a young man who has always presented himself as a gentleman. Reginald serves as the City of Orlando's Constituent Services Director, working in the Office of the Mayor, an alumnus of William R. Boone High School and a graduate of Valencia College, University of South Florida, where he obtained a Bachelor's of Arts degree. Further study has been done in the Master's of Science program at the Rollins College and the Master of Business Administration at Nova Southern University. He is the only son of Roseboro and Doris M.L. McGill, and he is the husband of Deborah L. McGill and the father of Danielle Lauren McGill. Throughout his adult life, he has been a friend and a mentor to many students in this district. He was raised in this district, so his love, dedication, and support has no bounds. He epitomizes the concept of servant leader. This afternoon, Reggie, I want to recognize and celebrate your tireless efforts to support the schools within District 5 and to help keep the City of Orlando on the pulse of OCPS's service to its students, families, and school staff. Reggie's motto has always been, in order to receive a blessing, you must be a blessing to others. And that, my brother, has been your mantra in the 60-plus years that I've known you. Today, Reggie, OCPS in District 5 celebrates you. Would you please come forward? I have a little token for you. Thank you. I'm the #1 person in your family. No, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Reggie. I have just one more. Thank you. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in comfort and convenience, but rather where he stands at times of challenge and controversy." Sometimes God will use the next generation to remind us that the fight for civil rights continues, and the memory of that struggle will be a benediction. Mr. L. Smith, your courage was challenged when you made the decision to take that trek from Selma to Montgomery, just to pay homage to those who had taken the walk years before you were born. It is this kind of tenacity and courage Dr. King encouraged in those that followed him. Fighting for your civil rights as an American citizen will possibly be an ongoing battle until the end of civilization. But the good news is that you had the opportunity to walk in the paths of those who lived generations before you were thought of. And we here at OCPS in District 5 applaud your courage, and we say thank you. We hear you and we see you. Thank you for taking on the challenge. And Mr. Smith, if you would please come forward. Mr. L. Smith, is he here?
He's coming.
Thank you. When I heard what you had done, I was elated. My God. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Member Felder. Let's go to Dr. Castelbeno.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I am so happy to finally be able to recognize a friend who has done so much for students in District 6, and in particular Evans High School. The Future Leaders United, or FLU, is an after-school enrichment and mentoring program at Evans High School, founded by Sandra Fatme Hall in 2015. But it is really so much more. The program is committed to students' leadership development, college acceptance, career readiness, and service learning projects. Future Leaders United is the most extensive after-school program at Evans High School developed to bridge the gaps in both the educational and mentoring needs of the community using a holistic approach. Sandra Fatmi Hall teaches the students about the power of their voices to make change in their community. She empowers them by exposing them to the governmental processes, helping them to arrange frequent meetings with their elected officials to advocate for changes they want to see, voicing their opinions on topics such as education, transportation, public safety, public health, and wellness. They've led community cleanups, food drives, and stepped up to take charge of a successful Taste of Pine Hills event when the original organizers backed out. And the community recognizes and appreciates their visible presence when they show up in their bright yellow flu shirts, as you can see. I've witnessed the leadership development in action a number of times. When I attended a meeting to discuss school start times, when I was honored to swear in the new officers, and when they attend the Pine Hills Community Council meetings. And my favorite was when I was invited to chaperone the bus trip to Tallahassee to tour FSU and FAMU. Sandra enlists the support of other caring adults to participate, builds partnerships throughout the Pine Hills community, and does everything she can to obtain funding for the program and college scholarships for the graduates. Over 100 students have graduated from the Future Leaders United program, and about 97% have gone on to college. I have no doubt that Sandra is the most important factor in that success rate. Sandra is personally dedicated to the development of these students and their future. She is available to them 24 hours a day. And they're nodding, yes, she is. And it's not surprising that so many of them call her mom. I am honored to know her and want others to know and appreciate the tremendous impact she is making for so many students in OCPS. And I would like for Sandra to stand, and also some of her fluites as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Kester-Daniel. Member Byrd.
Thank you, Chair. I am so excited to be able to tell you about my friend, Shantae Jamison, from the Apopka area. And any chance I get to tell people about her and what she's doing, I take it. So I'm thrilled to be able to honor her tonight. Shantae is a phenomenal woman who created a nonprofit only a year ago, which when I finish telling you all the things she's done, you will be amazed that she's done it all in a year. Started a nonprofit a year ago in our community to just help the community and to help our schools and people that need help. So she just, what she's done this year is just amazing. She's a real go-getter. If you have the opportunity to meet her, you'll see she never stops. Seriously, never stops. And I'm going to read some of the things that she has done this year, and you'll see why I feel this way about her. She has assisted in feeding over 300 unduplicated students in their monthly community feeding program. They've gathered and distributed over 100 boxes of gently used and new clothing for displaced and needy students. She worked with school liaisons to identify the students. She awarded 2 scholarships to local seniors with a virtual graduation, sponsored a testing day breakfast at Dream Lake Elementary, getting all the 5th graders ready for testing. And she hosted Teacher Appreciation during the entire month of December, where she took breakfast or lunches for the entire staff of all the area schools. Like, she would pick a different school each time, and they provided lunch or breakfast for them, just to honor them for all their hard work during this pandemic year. She did 50 local needy students received full Thanksgiving meal boxes. She hosted a financial literacy party course for at-risk students, where 50 students learned the importance of saving and how to be responsible with money, which impacts to impact their life. She assisted AMI kids with their Christmas give back, and they were able to fulfill the entire wish list for all the AMI students and essential needs wish lists. She did a backpack and supply giveaway where they gave out 265 backpacks with supplies and PPE students items for students. She awarded a Volunteer of the Year award to a local student who volunteered over 100 hours and awarded her with a laptop because her family couldn't afford one. She created, and this was one that I got to help out on, which was a great event. She created and hosted the first Burgers, Books, and Badges in partnership with the Apopka Police Department and OCPS and Randall Construction, where we got the police officers to get out and grill hot dogs and hamburgers, and we gave kids backpacks with STEM activities and a STEM book in it for over Thanksgiving break for them to do. And then if they did their STEM project, they got to send it to them, and they had a contest, and the winners won prizes. It was a great program. We had a great turnout for that one. And she did, one really cool thing she did this year, which other districts are contacting her, trying to duplicate in their areas. She created a read around Apopka, and it was a map that students got. She worked with all the media specialists in all the schools in Apopka, and it was a map that they got where they could go around to different places in Apopka and take a picture there after they read a book, and they would get like a prize, and when they turned it in, the schools had some kind of recognition, and then the winning school that had the most readers that visited won I think a pizza party or something like that. All of which she did, all of this on her own. It's just amazing. And the pictures are so cute. They were posted on social media, kids visiting the fire department, the police station, the Home Depot, and all the businesses had special tables for the kids when they came. It was a great program. She has partnered with all different organizations in Apopka. She won the Rising Star Award for the Apopka Chamber of Commerce this year, which is no surprise. And she is just a beautiful person that she believes that no matter what we're going through in our lives personally, that we put ourselves aside and we serve others. And that's what community is about. And I'm honored to call her my friend. I'm so glad she's here tonight. And I have a little something for you, Shantae. Thank you for everything you've done for our kids and our community.
Thank you. Member Byrd, thank you so much. I want to thank all of our honorees here tonight for taking the time to be with us this evening. We know that we can never do what we need to do here for our students without the help and support of our families, our community, all of you that are here in this room. As mentioned earlier, our vision is to ensure that every student has a promising and successful future. We know that with the support of the families and the community, we create enriching pathways to lead our students to success. Thank you for your continued support. Stay with us. The journey is just begun. But the hard part, we do hope, is behind us in terms of at least a pandemic. This evening, though, I also wanted to take the opportunity, although my thunder has been stolen by my colleague, Member Felder, just for anyone who didn't completely understand the significance, let me just hit on a few touch points here with our student, Smith Charles, L. Smith Charles, who goes by Smith Charles, am I correct, is a junior, I understand, at Jones High School. And a little bit of history. After school, he attends the New Image Youth Center in Paramore, where a board member, Brad Mason, is his obstacle course coach and mentor. Brad, is that you next to Smith? Thank you. After learning about the 1965 Selma to Montgomery marches, Smith decided he too wanted to travel along the journey of America's changemakers. As everyone in this room, I'm sure, knows, 56 years ago, when 600 nonviolent black and white students and civil rights activists peaceably assembled to march for the right of African Americans to vote in Alabama, they were beaten, they were attacked in what is known as Bloody Sunday. Undeterred in the struggle for equal voting rights, weeks later, a group of more than 4,000 grew to more than 25,000 as they walked from Selma to the state's capital in Montgomery, Alabama, 54 miles over 5 days, sleeping in tents at campsites. This past March, Smith and Mr. Mason undertook those same transformative steps from Selma to Montgomery. What an amazing accomplishment. With a 30-pound backpack, they completed the trek in 2 days, 28.5 hours, and also stopped at the campsites along the way. Smith, there's a quote that says, follow in the footsteps of your ancestors, for the mind is trained through knowledge. We are so enormously proud of you. And we are so enormously proud of you, Mr. Mason, for your role in mentorship, for not just talking the talk, but certainly walking 28.5 hours worth of walk. Thank you. God bless you. What role models both of you are to all of us here today. I know all of you have been with us for a little while, but before we let you go, if we can move to proclamations. We do have 2 proclamations that I want to take this opportunity to share while you're here. First, we are proclaiming June 2021 as LGBTQ plus Pride and Pulse Remembrance Month here in Orange County Public Schools. And we only have 2 proclamations today, both of them extremely significant. I'd like to take the opportunity to read the LGBTQ Pride and Pulse Remembrance Month proclamation, and then my colleague, Member Felder, will read Juneteenth, which is next. Whereas Orange County Public Schools embraces and celebrates our diversity, along with our lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, question, and others LGBTQ plus community, and is committed to supporting dignity and equity for all people throughout our community. And whereas many of our students, family members, and employees are part of the LGBTQ plus community and are greatly valued. Whereas various advancements have been made with respect to equitable treatment of LGBTQ plus persons throughout the nation, yet LGBTQ plus persons still face discrimination. And whereas many municipalities and organizations across our nation recognize and celebrate June as LGBTQ plus Pride Month, and whereas June has become a symbolic month in which LGBTQ plus persons and allies come together in various celebrations and pride. And whereas on June 12th, 2016, 49 innocent members of our community lost their lives in a senseless act of hate at the Pulse nightclub tragedy, many of whom identified as LGBTQ plus individuals. And whereas this tragedy deeply impacted Central Florida and the LGBTQ plus community, and this tragedy and those lives will never be forgotten. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the School Board of Orange County does hereby declare June 2021 as LGBTQ plus Pride and Pulse Remembrance Month here in Orange County Public Schools. I want to recognize 2 people in the audience. Clinton, I saw that. I was doing a really good job, Clinton. I want to recognize Clinton McCracken. When I first joined this board, I'm trying to remember if I saw you. You reached out to me via email, I think, and then we met out at school. And he asked why we weren't recognizing this month. And I thank you for that. We should have been. But your voice and your passion and the role that you play in your school and in this community is extremely important, and it's making the difference in the lives of others. Thank you. And I also want to double down on, and if I can steal, a little bit of the credit that you gave, Vice Chair, to Disney. After Pulse, Disney was so very helpful to us as we created a recovery center for families. And they had employees that came in and turned an old Orange County building that was practically dilapidated, and they turned it into something that nobody but Disney could turn it into, a wonderful place for families to bring their children and to seek the help and the healing that they needed. So thank you, Disney. Adriana, take that message, if you would, back to the team. Thank you. And I believe, Member Felder, did you have comments on this? Thank you.
Thank you so much. I did want to comment, and I know many of us probably had relatives and friends that we lost, but I was with my student, Corey, the Wednesday before the Saturday. He walked me around the entire Publix looking for potato chips that were not fattening. And there's such a thing. He said, Miss Felder, if I have to walk around all day, we're going to find some potato chips that you want that are not fattening. But I just want to say this regarding that. As we remember the tragedy of the Pulse Night some 6 years ago in Orlando, we celebrate with those who continue to champion the rights of those who have been mistreated because of their gender preferences and their choice to live their lives by their own convictions. And we will remember. Thank you so much.
And now, we proclaim June 19th, 2020 as Juneteenth Day here in Orange County Public Schools. Member Felder, would you do the honors of reading that proclamation?
Proclamation, Juneteenth Day. Whereas many municipalities and organizations across the nation annually commemorate the end of slavery in the United States by celebrating Juneteenth, and whereas on January 1st, 1863, Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation declaring that all persons held as slaves within any state or designated part of a state, the people whereof shall be then, thenceforward, and forever free. And whereas President Lincoln correctly declared slavery to be in violation of the principles of the Declaration of Independence, and that its abolition represented a new birth of freedom for the United States. And whereas more than 2 years passed before the news reached African Americans living in Texas, and on June 19, 1865, and whereas the following year, the first official Juneteenth celebrations took place in Texas and have continued across the United States throughout the years, and whereas Juneteenth is the oldest nationally celebrated commemoration of the ending of slavery, and whereas OCPS recognizes Juneteenth as a time for serious reflection and rejoicing regarding an end to a dark time in American history. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the School Board of Orange County does hereby declare June 19, 2021 as Juneteenth Day in Orange County Public Schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Felder. And just as I did with Clinton, I also want to recognize a young man who was a student of ours in 2004. He graduated from Olympia High School. I didn't know him personally. It happens that he graduated the same time as my oldest son, Jonathan Solari. Jonathan first approached us, if the board remembers, last year on this issue. And as many things like Pulse and like Pride that we should have been recognizing, this is the first year that Orange County Public Schools has recognized the significance of Juneteenth. And I think it is a time to not just reflect on that momentous occasion, but also to reflect on how far we've come and how much further we have to go, and to never let our resolve to become the place we were destined to be as a country, where all men are truly created and live equally. We're not there, but it is a time to renew our determination to reach that goal. Let me also call on, we have 3 speakers. Let me call on Chelsea Baker, then LaWanda Thompson, and Jasmine. Help me with the first name. If you all are here, this would be an opportunity to speak. Yes, I think they're making their way up. Thank you. Ms. Baker, how you doing again? Good to see you.
I'm well.
Good.
I asked to speak. Do I have to state everything again?
Yeah,
Okay,
sorry.
okay. Again, Chelsea Baker, 1336 Hendren Drive. I'm here to speak on that Juneteenth agenda. Just because I was listening closely, you said that someone told you over a year ago for Juneteenth, and somebody recently told you something about the LGBTQ, but yet they're moving around the same pace. So we were just kind of not shocked, because this happens all the time, but because of the national protests that have happened, I can see why you would like to make the proclamation now. But again, as all of our administrative forms or governments, we want to make sure that it's more than just a symbol or proclamation or recognition, but an actual tangible effort. We have a Florida law. It's 1003.42 that requires the teaching of African American history using books and materials that focus on the development of slavery, passions of America, the enslavement experience, abolition, and the contributions of African Americans to society. Now, in that same law, there is other descriptions to aid our teachers in following a law and making sure that everyone justifiably learns about their history. But there is no human morality or empathy added into the section of African American history, rather than the other excerpts that were put in there, such as it being a watershed event in history for other cultures. The lack of human morality and accountability in this legal definition for African American history within curricula is a part of the reason why there remains little empathy for our African American plight here in larger society, such as fighting for a school for Winter Park. These historical areas have so much history. It's a shame that only a year ago someone would have to jog your memory about that. So there's a lot of work that has to get done, especially with this Juneteenth proclamation. We just hope it's more than another symbol of commitment, another recognition, and actually have attainable, tangible change for our communities. Real curriculum that holds our teachers accountable, because Juneteenth is technically supposed to be taught already, talked about, and yet it's only being recognized now. So that definitely gives me a very big clue as to what is happening to our students, what they're being taught, what is actually being held up and for our new generation. So I just want to make sure that you guys are actually doing the work and providing more than recognition for our communities, and actually standing with us in solidarity and granting Winter Park a school. Thank you.
Ms. Baker, let me point out that Dr. Schuler, I think, is still with us. She is our Chief Academic Officer, and perhaps you could have a conversation with Dr. Schuler also about your concerns about curriculum. Is Dr. Schuler still in the chamber? All right, thank you. Thank you. All right, let's hear from Ms. Thompson.
My name is LaWanda Thompson. My address is 664 West Lyman, Winter Park, Florida, 32789. So it's very interesting that I'm arriving here to talk about the school, but also that we're having a proclamation about Juneteenth. When I was SAC president at Audubon, I did a lot of work to bring equity back to that school so far as celebrating holidays, and also bringing attention to the fact that so far as the community that I stayed in, they were not teaching African American history as the law dictates. As stated, it's 1003.42. I've at least talked to 2 principals at the schools that my children went to in that area for their lack of teaching what the law says, which is we're supposed to teach about African American history, both the past, the present, and where, you know, what's going on now, current things. And so recognizing Juneteenth this year and being told about it last year, OCPS has to make a proclamation to get to exemplary status, which you guys are not at, for teaching African American history, and that is the African American History Task Force, which there are schools listed on their website, and your school district is not one of them. So this, in my opinion, is great that we're making this small little move. But so far as that office being in place for 25 years, this is a failure. And it's been a failure for 25 years. And again, I will go back to the fact that this has still happened under black leadership. That is a problem. I shouldn't go to my children's school and see on the marquee that we honor Black History Month, but you're not teaching Black History Month appropriately in the schools, and that the teachers have not had enough cultural training, both so not just being African American, but white teachers have not had enough cultural training to teach this. When I would go and bring this up, they would tell me that they had to fit within the standards. But yet I was told by a minority achievement officer that there are standards provided to teach it, and it's supposed to be being taught all year. And I was just bringing attention to this during Black History Month, which is our month to really put it up there. But all year long it's supposed to be going on. So this concerns me, especially after we've had HB 1213 that just passed by our governor to teach the Ocoee Massacre. A lot of people don't know my agency actually helped to put July Perry marker down there at the Orlando History Center. So I'm on there. You can look at the program. So what I'm saying is, if we did all that work and you guys don't teach it, we're failing again.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Let's hear from yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Would you like to speak? Okay. All right, we're going to have to pull the mic out. Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Hello, sweetie.
Thank you for letting me speak today. And I would like to say a few words before you guys move on with the time. I would like to say that my mom has worked very hard to get this school. She's been working for months, even years, to get this school. And I really want you guys to make it happen, because it's not just her dream. It's my dream. It's my family's dream. And it's also our community's dream. And I really want this school for the Black community to learn. Some Black children in this community don't even know how to read yet, and to learn their math. And that's what I really want. I want them to learn. And those first words that come out, I want them to learn those too. So please, if you can make this school happen, I would be very grateful. And I would do anything for this school to come in Winter Park. So please don't reject. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Well, thank you for that testimony. Okay, I think we have, help me out with your name, I'm sorry.
Jazz Bennett, 3125
Thank you.
Whisper Lake Lane. And sometimes it takes the youth to infiltrate the minds of those who are so dogmatic and refuse to see segregation, racism, any type of pestilence, I call it, that separates us. Because truly it's all about unity. That's what it's about. And again, we thank you for the proclamation of Juneteenth. It's a space, but it's a space that needs to be properly utilized, a place that we can bloom in. Symbolic victory has gotten us as a people nowhere. Nowhere. We have martyrs, Malcolm X, Dr. Luther King. We can go on, Medgar Evers, people who have died for us and it gotten a street name, but it really hasn't done anything within our community. So if we're going to if you guys are going to proclaim Juneteenth, we would like for the curriculum to be taught, and we actually also would like it to be taught that Black people were not free after Juneteenth. They were forced to pay off debt, and if they could pay off that debt, then they could leave that land of their slave owner, but a lot of them never could leave the land due to peonage, or you had to work off your debt. So Black people were not free after Juneteenth. We're still continuing to be free, not physically, but economically, resources, and educationally. So when it goes back to the school, as you heard the young queen speak, it's now is the youth crying out for a change. What more do you want? What more do you want? What more do you should listen to the youth? There's nothing but knowledge, supreme knowledge that speaks through them. So we're asking you to consider and really think in your subconscious when you go lay down in your mind, because your kids go to schools that you love, that you support. We should have the same say so, the same privilege in a community that our ancestors built, that you drive on the streets of America. Our ancestors built this entire land, built the White House twice. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Dr. Jenkins, do we have any administrators to recognize? And then we are going to release all these wonderful people that have stayed with us for a very long time. This is probably our longest recognition that we've had. Thank you all for being here. Thank you. All right, sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have several that will not be speaking tonight, but I want to note them for the record. Scott Stephen Burks, from Dean at Lake Nona High School, will be the assistant principal at Edgewater High School. Michael Anthony Cesari is the resource teacher at Colonial High School. He will be the assistant principal at Colonial High School. Rochelle Conyers, Dean at Windermere High, will be the assistant principal at Colonial High. Willicia Hughes, instructional coach at Lake Nona High School, will be the assistant principal at Lake Nona High School. Jory Ann Janete, I am sorry if that's not the right way to pronounce her name, will be the assistant principal at Pershing K-8, leaving as the instructional coach at Little River. Alma Lazzarini, resource teacher at Sunshine Elementary, will be the AP at Sunshine Elementary. It's that time of year. Crystal McMiller, from instructional dean at Olympia to assistant principal at Wekiva High School. Candace Mixon, resource teacher at at Orange Technical College, will be assistant principal at Boone High School. Carol Morris, resource teacher at College Park Middle School, will be the new assistant principal at Lake Buena Vista High School. Katrina Renee Nichols, resource teacher at West Creek Elementary, will be the new assistant principal at Millennia Gardens Elementary. Deborah Lynn Turner, instructional coach at Sunset, will be the assistant principal at Sunset Park Elementary. Daniel James Cagliari, acting principal at Winter Park High School, will be the assistant principal at Winter Park High School. Shivas Latre Koner, acting assistant principal at Gotha, will be the assistant principal at Gotha. Wendy Ivory, principal of Orange County Public Schools ACE Academic Center for Excellence, will be the executive area director at the West Learning Community. Amy London Tiriello, acting assistant principal at Inglewood, will become the assistant principal at Inglewood. Just four more. Laura Permenta, assistant principal at Darmok, will be the acting assistant principal, will become the principal at Darmok Elementary School. Jody Rolston Carey, senior admin for Orange Technical College, will be the assistant principal at Apopka High School. Yvonne Marie Marino, acting assistant principal at Meadowwoods, will be the assistant principal at Meadowwoods. And Linda Van, acting AP at Lake Nona, will be the assistant principal at Lake Nona High School. That's it, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Jenkins. And we give a round of applause for all those appointments. Okay, now the demarcation point. We are past all of our recognitions and we are on to board business. I point that out because if there were any more public comments or speakers now, we would not be applauding. And it's a bit confusing, but we have no strategic plan update today. So Dr. Jenkins, are there any changes to the agenda?
No changes, Madam Chair.
All right. Is there a motion to accept the agenda as proposed?
So moved.
Motion by Member Castrodental. Is there a second? Second by Member Lopez. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Member Coburn?
Aye.
Thank you. Opposed? None. So the motion carries unanimously. Do we have any members of the public wishing to comment?
We have no members of the public either on the phone or in person that filled out cards.
All right, thank you. Then we will move on to public hearing 3.01, request approval of revised school board policy JCA, assignment of students to school. Dr. Jenkins, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. These policies have been properly workshopped and had real development work session and real development workshops. If there are no public comments, then these policies are before the board for final adoption.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions about this item? If not, I will entertain a motion. Member Gallo, motion to approve? Motion from Member Gallo to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Gould. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Member Cobert?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Our next item is public hearing 3.02, request approval of revised school board policy JIC, Code of Student Conduct. Dr. Jenkins, you're recognized.
Our Code of Student Conduct is approved on an annual basis with extensive opportunity for public and community input. This actual revised Code of Student Conduct has been workshopped and rule development workshop and work session by the board on several occasions with no further public comment. It is before you for final approval.
Thank you, Dr. Jenkins. Any questions or comments? No, okay. If not, is there a motion? Motion by Member Lopez for approval. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Member Gallo. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I'm sorry, Member Cobert.
Aye, Chair.
Thank you. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. That takes us to approval of the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Madam Chair, we have one more, 3.03.
I'm sorry. Thank you very much, everybody. 3.03, public hearing, request approval of revised school board policy JICK threats. Thank you, team. Dr. Jenkins?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This policy has also been appropriately workshopped by the board and a rule development workshop hosted. In case individuals are curious, I did check with the parliamentarian. You did have to carry these individually by motion. It is before you now for final approval, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Jenkins. And also, we have no public comment on this. If there's no board comment, is there a motion? Motion by Member Gallo. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Member Byrd. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Member Cobert?
Aye, Chair.
Thank you. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Now we are on consent agenda, I believe. So is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Motion by Vice Chair Gould. Is there a second? Second by Member Gallo. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Member Cobert?
Aye, Chair.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We are on non-consent item 17.01, request approval of the endorsement and transmittal of the school board's recommendation of option 2, school board impact fees. And I will turn to Dr. Jenkins.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Associate General Counsel Jad Brewer is actually going to walk us through the presentation. Stephen Thorpe is here as well. Individual board members have been briefed on this information in case members of the public are wondering about the complexity. It is time for the board to actually take official action on transmittal of our recommendation for the school impact fees. With that, Mr. Brewer, please take us through it.
Thank you, Superintendent. Let's move this up, make sure they can hear me this time. Evening, Madam Chair, board members. We just have a quick presentation on this House Bill 337 and the impact upon the school impact fees in Orange County. So the agenda, the brief agenda is we'll go over the current school impact fee status, discuss a little bit about HB 337, go over the various options, 1, 2, and 3 that the board will be presented with tonight, as well as staff's recommendation. So if you recall, back in October of 2020, the school board endorsed and adopted and transmitted a school impact fee study performed by our consultant, Tyndale Oliver, to the Board of County Commissioners. After various workshops and finally the Board of County Commissioners voted on December 1, 2020 to modify the school impact fees. So this impact fee was different from the previous one in that we had fees broken down by tiers of the housing. So in the second column, you'll see the current 2016 impact fee rate that's in effect right now, and the third column has the proposed new rate. Originally, the intent, as voted by the BCC and the ordinance passed, was to implement 50% of the increase April 2nd of 2021 and the full amount of the increase July 2nd, 2021, or excuse me, July 3rd. And then in January of 2021, House Bill 337 was introduced in the Florida legislature. The original version had a 3% cap and was proposed to be effective in July of this year. So as kind of a preemptive response to that, the Board of County Commissioners voted on March 23rd to remove the impact fee phasing of April and July and to implement the full 100% on June 27th of 2021. Later on, House Bill 337 was further amended, creating additional rules and requirements. Unfortunately, those rules and requirements are regressive and make it very difficult, or much more difficult for local governments to implement impact fees. We'll go over those changes right now. So the big changes 337 introduces to the school impact, or the impact fee ordinance in general, is that any rate increases from 1% up to 25% must be implemented in 2 equal annual installments. Rate increases 26 to 50% must be implemented in 4 equal installments. A rate increase may not exceed 50% of the current rate, and the impact fee may not be increased more than once every 4 years. And the big reason why we're here is essentially that House Bill 337, although it was signed Friday by the governor, it's like it was retroactive, so it's just as if it was signed January 1, 2021. So now with this, now that the governor signed this on June 4th, we must provide some input to the Board of County Commissioners to modify the ordinance to be compliant with the law. And impact fees are very difficult to predict, but working with budget, I think our best estimate is that regardless of what action we take for fiscal years 21 through 23, it's a $10 to $12 million impact in collections. So we've worked with the county to develop some options, and these options mirror the options similar to what the Board of County Commissioners will be considering for transportation impact fees. Option 1 would be to implement the current impact fee, so basically no changes to the ordinance. However, this would be obviously out of compliance with House Bill 337, so of course we don't recommend this option. Option 2 is that we would use the current impact fee study that was transmitted by the school board to the Board of County Commissioners in October of 2020, and simply change the implementation schedule to meet the requirements of House Bill 337. Of course, that would not allow the full increase on June 27, 2021, as it currently stands, but it would allow by October 1st of 2021, we could start increased collections at the newer rate, at least moving that direction. So we have provided the attached chart as proposed by Orange County staff, so I'd like to thank them for their help on this. Essentially, in the first column, you see the categories again. The second column shows the proposed new fees as a result of the adoption of the study by the Board of County Commissioners. The third column has the percent of change from the 2016 fees. And of course, there's a column for allowed increase because you have a 50% cap. So as you see, October 1, we'd start, the increases would start if approved by the Board of County Commissioners. So if you look at for an example, the first column, single-family detached less than 2,000 square feet, that is under the 25% threshold. So we'd have an increase, and it requires 2 annual increases. So we'd have an increase October 1, 2021, and an increase October 1, 2022. If you move down to the fourth column, single-family detached 3,000 to 3,900 square feet, that is over the 26%. So the increases would start October 1 of 21. The next increase would be February 1, 22, June 1, 22. Then the final amount would be implemented October 1 of 22. As there are no prohibitions on decreases, if you move down to this multifamily high-rise, that new rate would just remain the $307 across the board starting October 1 of 2021. And as there is a cap at 50%, the mobile home rate, which is still being discussed by the county as potential for exemption or affordable housing, that would be capped at 50% instead of 70%. So the final number will be $9,132 instead of the $10,387. So option 3, under House Bill 337, there is a clause that allows those phase-in limitations that we just discussed at length to be exceeded. And the test for that is to explicitly demonstrate the extraordinary circumstances necessitating the need to exceed the phase-in limitations. So that proposal would require engaging the consultant again, funding that study, have the study update to address this specific factor, the meetings with the consultant, of course, any school board meetings to endorse and transmit that to the Board of County Commissioners. House Bill 337 requires 2 Board of County Commissioner workshops completely dedicated to the exceeding the limitations. Then there would have to be a final Board of County Commissioner hearing, and then there would, of course, under the statute as already exists, there's 90 days between adoption and implementation. That's automatically built into the statute. So based on that, the staff recommendation is option 2, is that the school impact fees would be increased in annual increments between October 1, 2021 and October 1, 2022. Madam Superintendent.
Madam Chair, members of the board, that is our recommendation. Certainly open to hear your, answer your questions and hear your discussion, any comments. Madam Chair.
Thank you. Vice Chair Gould.
Thank you. And in my briefing, we had talked about the mobile home, and I just want to remind not only the board of our discussion of that and that we're in support of that being altered, but I would actually ask you if you feel comfortable educating your counterparts at the county commission on that, because that is an important affordable housing. And when you look at multifamily, that's at 300, that and a mobile home, even at 50% of the way that it comes out on the chart at 5,000, a mobile home averages $30,000. When you talk about adding another 5,000, it could make the difference between somebody moving into an actual home and not. So I just wanted to highlight that because of the affordable housing issues that we're facing in this community and continue to exacerbate with all the shortages of all the supplies and housing going nuts. So, thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. I was going to offer a comment or two. I'm definitely in support of the staff recommendation. I also wanted to take a moment. We had a lot of turnover in our facilities planning department in a real short period of time. Stephen, you haven't been with us terribly long. How long? 1 year. Oh my gosh. I was thinking it was a little longer than that. Jad, you've been with us 6 months, maybe?
No, I think I'm a month short of a year.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So I don't know why, Stephen, I thought you'd been with us longer than that. But anyway, my point of saying this is what you do is extremely important. And I just wanted to commend both of you for coming in, hitting the ground running. And the most difficult time I think you could possibly, I'm not talking pandemic, I'm talking the legislature and all the changes. So anyway, I just wanted to take this moment to publicly thank you for the job that you're doing. And I'm sure the board feels the same way. Let me also say that I definitely think number 2 is the way to go. Dr. Jenkins and I have met to talk about the work group that we're going to be forming. I would say that there are arguments to be made for number 3. I think there are extenuating circumstances, one of them being that we've lost the ability to do CEAs. And if there was support in the community to use this as a vehicle to fund more schools, then that would certainly, I think, be a legitimate extenuating circumstance. Another extenuating circumstance is that we have delayed this impact fee increase several times in trying to work through different issues that have arisen. So had we moved on it sooner, this would have been a foregone conclusion. I'm not saying we made the wrong decision, but I think both of those are viable arguments. I wouldn't recommend that we do it even if we could, and I doubt that we would get through the legal process. I think the better thing for us to do is to work together as a community. Member Byrd, you've been such an advocate for that. Member Vice Chair Gould, you have as well, and the entire board has been very, very collaborative. So I think once we get through this, what I consider kind of an education collaboration process, perhaps we may see things differently, but I doubt it. So if there's a motion, if not, I rarely do it, but I'll offer a motion. But Member Byrd, do you have a motion or a comment? Thank you. A motion by Member Byrd to approve option 2. Second by, is that Vice Chair? Vice Chair Byrd? I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah. First and second by Vice Chair Gould. Any questions, comments? If not, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Member Cobert?
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposition? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Dr. Jenkins? I don't believe that we have any further business other than a report. Do you have a report for us today?
Very, very short, Madam Chair. So let me give you the numbers for summer school. We are very pleased that at the elementary level, our enrollment looks like about 11,627 students. Want to certainly encourage to anyone listening, and certainly ask you to do the same, that those students need to be continually attending so that we can both have fun and make sure we make up some of those gaps so that we're ready for next year as well. At the secondary level, we have 2,600 students. For our ESY, our students with special abilities, unique abilities, in our exceptional education department, we have 2,600 as well. Our Minority Achievement Office runs a calculus project to get our minority students accelerated so that they can complete calculus by the end of their high school coursework, and therefore being more prepared for STEM careers when they get to college. We had 1,098 students in that program. And then we have another 27,000 taking part in some of our course recovery work that is done online for our students. That's a grand total of 45,000 of our students engaged in some means of summer learning. And so we are very pleased with those numbers. Certainly want to encourage parents and students to stay the course. Let me also mention that we will have a communication that will go out to Ms. Thompson, again, correcting some of the miscommunication and inaccuracies in some of the speeches that were presented tonight. We are happy to share that with the board, and we will mail a copy of that accurate information to others who gave us their addresses as well. Let me just summarize it, that we have looked at those numbers. There are not enough students in the Hannibal Square area to fill an elementary school unless you somewhat dismantle other attendance zones, such as the Hungerford Elementary area in Eatonville, Florida, very close by, or other surrounding schools. So we will get that information out, as well as clarification again. And I've asked our general counsel, we will copy the past communication that she has been provided to all of those speakers who are speaking on her behalf, because we don't want misinformation to be provided to anyone in the community. We will copy the board as well. Happy to get you all of that information.
Thank you, Dr. Jenkins. Member Gallo, I overlooked you. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to share, if I can get my mask off. I attended an event. There it goes. On Friday, and the school board was awarded a plaque in recognition of all the work that we do on behalf of the LGBTQ plus community for our resolution for Member Castor-Dental's recommendation on vetoing, I think it was 1028. And this award was presented by Alonza and the Del Albiente. Did I get that right? Member Lopez? Member Lopez was in attendance as well, and we both accepted this award on behalf of the school board. So I just wanted to share this with the school board. And I thank Alonza and Del Albiente for recognizing us with this great plaque. So thank you.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you.
Then tell me where to put it. Where does it go?
Okay, thank you, Member Gallo. Ms. Envall, do you have a report for this? Okay. And we have no committee reports. Under board policy issues, there is one thing that I'd like some feedback from the board on. We are hearing so much about malware and ransomware. Not that this is new, but it seems that there is an increased intensity in these efforts. I know that we have a lot of effort underway to prevent that. I do not know. I'd feel more comfortable knowing a little bit more. We could do that individually, or we could have a closed session on it. I think under safety and security, it is not something we want to do in the public. So if Dr. Jenkins can just reach out and get a sense from you all whether you'd rather just have individual meetings or meet together. It does take everybody's time to be at the same time. So just give it some thought, and whatever the preference of the majority of the board is what we'll do. And any other policy issues? All right, then I'm going to take just a minute to apologize to my colleague, Member Lopez. At our last work session, she asked a question, and if I had been paying better attention, I would have realized the question was for the superintendent. I was not paying close enough attention. That is 100% my fault. I thought it was a question to the board, and so I gave my feedback, and never did allow Dr. Jenkins to respond to the question. So I wanted to privately apologize. I wanted to publicly apologize to Member Lopez. And I also wanted to invite you guys, because I wish I was constantly 100% attentive, but occasionally, I must confess, my mind misses something from time to time. If I ever do that, please, as I've told Member Lopez as well, please don't feel timid or bashful about saying, excuse me, but here's what I asked for. We all have enormous respect for each other. We work well together, but please don't ever feel like you can't, and I don't even have to say respectfully, because there's none of you have any nature of being disrespectful, and I certainly didn't intend to be disrespectful. So wanted to clear the air on that and invite you guys to help me to continue to do the best I can as your board chair. With that, if there's no further comments, I'm about to adjourn the meeting. Member Lopez.
I just want to say thank you. Apologies accepted. I know hard feelings. We're
Thank you.
humans, so we're learning as well. So
Yeah.
thank you so
Always
much for
learning.
your words.
Yeah.
It's
I will
highly
be learning,
respected.
my friend, until the day I die. I'm quite convinced it's going to be a continuous process.
Problem.
Thank you all. With that, meeting adjourned. Yes, we're good. We're good. Yes, we can go home.